The first time my mother told me not to tell my father, I thought it was just another one of her harmless little secrets, but the way she whispered it, the way her hands were shaking, and the way she looked over her shoulder toward the hallway made my stomach twist with a feeling I couldn't explain. "Don't tell your father," she said quietly, then she pushed the front door open and added in a rushed whisper, "Now go quickly." I didn't understand why at least. Not yet. And if I had known what would happen after that night, I swear to God, I would have never walked out that door, but I did. And that was the beginning of the worst mistake of my life. I grew up in a quiet suburb outside Denver, Colorado. The kind of place where every lawn looked perfect, every mailbox matched, and everyone pretended their families were normal. It wasn't. My dad, Mark, was a construction foreman. Big guy, loud voice, always tired, always angry about something. My mom, Claire, was the opposite, quiet, gentle, almost too gentle. When I was younger, I used to think she looked like she was constantly apologizing for existing, and my father knew it. He controlled everything in the house: money, decisions, even who we were allowed to see. By the time I turned 22, I had already moved out and was living in a small apartment across town, but I still visited every Sunday for dinner, mostly for my mom, because every time I saw her, she looked a little more empty. And then Ethan moved in. That's when everything changed. Ethan wasn't my brother, he was my mother's nephew, 26 years old, tall, quiet, and recently divorced. He had nowhere else to go after his marriage collapsed. So my mom convinced my dad to let him stay with us for a few months. My dad hated the idea, but Ethan was family. So he moved into the guest room at the end of the hallway. The first time I met him, I remember thinking how strange his eyes were. Not the color, just the way he looked at people, like he was trying to read something hidden inside them. When he shook my hand, he smiled slightly and said, "Claire talks about you all the time." I laughed awkwardly. That's terrifying. But my mom just smiled in that quiet way she always did. Looking back now, that was the first moment I noticed something strange between them, something I couldn't explain at the time. Over the next few months, I started visiting more often, sometimes twice a week. At first, I told myself it was because I missed my mom, but the truth was, I was curious about Ethan. He wasn't like anyone I knew. Most guys my age talked nonstop about sports, hookups, or work. Ethan didn't. He listened. He noticed things, little things, the way someone held their coffee cup, the way their voice changed when they lied, the way their eyes moved when they were uncomfortable, and for some reason, whenever he spoke to me, I felt like he could see straight through me. It was unsettling, but also strangely comforting, which is probably why I started staying later and later after dinner. One night in October, I stayed past midnight. My dad had already gone to bed. The house was quiet except for the soft hum of the refrigerator. Ethan and I were sitting at the kitchen table, talking about nothing in particular. My mom had disappeared upstairs hours earlier. I remember Ethan leaning back in his chair, studying me with that same unreadable expression. "You don't like being here," he said. It wasn't a question. I shrugged. "It's complicated." He nodded slowly. "Your dad." I froze. He had been in the house less than 3 months, and he already understood something most people never noticed. "Yeah," I admitted quietly. For a moment neither of us spoke. Then Ethan said something that stuck with me. "You know your mom is terrified of him, right?" My chest tightened. I know. But hearing someone else say it out loud made it feel real and heavier than I wanted to admit. That was the night my mother whispered those words. Around 1:30 a.m., she suddenly appeared at the top of the basement stairs. Her face looked pale, almost frightened. She looked at Ethan first, then at me. "Can I talk to you for a second?" she said softly. Her voice sounded tense. I followed her into the hallway. She closed the door behind us and grabbed my arm gently. "I need you to do me a favor." I frowned. "What's wrong?" She glanced nervously toward my father's bedroom. Then she leaned closer and whispered the words that still echo in my head today. "Don't tell your father." My stomach dropped. "Tell him what?" but she was already pushing a small envelope into my hand. "I need you to take this somewhere." I stared at it. "Mom, what is this?" She shook her head quickly. "I'll explain later." Her voice trembled. "Just go now before he wakes up, Mom." She grabbed my wrist tighter. "Please?" Then she said it again. "Don't tell your father. Now go quickly." I should have opened the envelope right there. I should have asked more questions. I should have refused. But something about the fear in her eyes made me obey without thinking. So I grabbed my jacket and slipped out the front door. As I walked to my car, I noticed the porch light flicker behind me. When I turned around, Ethan was standing in the doorway, watching me. He didn't say anything, but the look on his face told me one thing. He knew exactly what was happening, and somehow, that made everything feel even worse. I drove 3 blocks before curiosity finally got the better of me. I pulled over under a streetlight and opened the envelope. Inside was a folded piece of paper and a hotel key card. My heart started pounding. The paper only had one sentence written on it: a hotel name and a room number, room 214. Suddenly, my phone buzzed in my hand. It was a text message from my mother. 3 words: "Please trust me." But right as I finished reading it, another message appeared. This one wasn't from my mom. It was from Ethan, and what he wrote made my blood run cold. "Don't go there alone." Ethan's message sat on my phone screen while my hands gripped the steering wheel. "Don't go there alone." 3 simple words, but they made my stomach twist in a way I couldn't explain. I looked down at the hotel key card again. The name printed on it was Silver Creek Lodge, a small motel just off Interstate 25 outside Denver. The kind of place people used when they didn't want to be noticed. My mother had never stayed in a hotel in her life, at least not that I knew of. So why would she give me a key card? And why did Ethan seem to know about it? I stared at my phone for a long moment before finally texting him back. "What are you talking about?" 3 dots appeared immediately. He was already typing. That alone made my chest tighten. "Where are you right now?" I hesitated before replying. "In my car." His response came instantly. "Good. Stay there." I started racing. "Stay there? Why?" I typed another message. "Ethan, what's going on?" The typing bubble appeared again, then disappeared. Then came the reply that made my heart drop. "Your mom shouldn't have involved you." 10 minutes later, headlights pulled up beside my car. Ethan stepped out of his truck and walked over slowly, hands shoved into the pockets of his jacket. The streetlight above us cast long shadows across the pavement. When he reached my window, I rolled it down halfway. For a moment he just looked at me. His eyes weren't calm like usual. They were tense. "You opened it?" he asked. I held up the key card. "What is this?" He exhaled slowly, rubbing the back of his neck. "I was hoping you hadn't." "Yeah, well, too late." He leaned against the side of my car, glancing down the empty street. For the first time since I'd known him, Ethan looked genuinely nervous. That scared me more than anything. "Did your mom say anything else?" he asked. "No, nothing at all." I shook my head. "She just said not to tell my dad and to go." Quickly, Ethan closed his eyes for a moment like he was trying to think through something complicated. Then, he muttered quietly under his breath, "Damn it, Claire." Hearing him say my mother's name like that felt strange. Too familiar. Too intimate. "What does the hotel mean?" I asked. He looked at me again. For a few seconds, it seemed like he was debating whether to tell me the truth. Finally, he sighed. "That room isn't for you." My stomach dropped. "Then why did she give me the key?" His jaw tightened. "Because she didn't want your father to know she was going there." The words hung in the air between us. I felt something cold spread through my chest. "You're saying my mom is cheating?" Ethan didn't answer right away. That silence told me everything. "Who is it?" I whispered. His gaze shifted away from mine. "That's not something you want to know." Anger flared inside me. "Don't do that. Don't talk like you know things I don't." "I do know things you don't." His voice was quiet but firm, and somehow that only made it worse. "Then tell me." He shook his head slowly. "Oh, Why not? Because once you know, you can't pretend you don't. I stared at him in disbelief. You're being ridiculous. He didn't argue. Instead, he pushed himself off the car and stepped closer. Listen to me carefully, he said. You should go home. I blinked. What? Give me the key card. Why? Because I'll handle it. That made something inside me snap. No, his eyebrows lifted slightly. No, grabbed the key card from the passenger seat and held it tightly in my hand. My mom asked me to do something. I'm going to do it. Ethan's expression darkened. You don't understand what you're walking into. Then explain it. I can't, or you won't. His jaw clenched again. For a moment neither of us spoke. Then he said something that made my heart skip. If you go there tonight, everything is going to change. I laughed nervously. What does that even mean? It means your life isn't going to be the same after this. For a long moment I considered turning the car.